Greetings, this is the Garage Autonomist. I should have the last installment of Responsibility Politics versus Reality finished and uploaded by either tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. Let's just shoot for tomorrow night. I don't want to make any promises I can't keep. Instead, I wanted to go ahead and talk about a particular news item, a tragedy actually, that happened. Now, I wanted to contact New Possibilities to ask him if I could mirror his video on the case of Nashante Davis, but I simply didn't have the time to do that. Now, Nashante Davis was murdered along with her 2-year-old by the father of her child, Darren Johnson. I think that New Possibilities' narrative is very powerful, so much so that I provided the link to his video in the low bar. A lot of people have spoken out about this tragedy, and as expected from those of us who are human and humanitarian, we have expressed disgust, while others who are opposite of us only express deflection. Look at what Tommy Sotomayor offers in the face of a 2-year-old shot to death.
Because as we all know, the death of a man and the rape of the man, even him going broke, him being homeless, is his fault. It's nobody's fault but his own. And we don't shed a tear, and we don't cry, and we don't march, and we don't try to set up any funding to try and stop these men from being raped in a large abundance in prisons across America.
You could also infer that because she had to win a paternity suit, this may have not been the first guy that has been tested. This guy did let the woman know he probably didn't want to be a father. As a matter of fact, I bet you can look up Mr. Boswell Johnson and find out that he's probably the father of another kid. Now, $600 taken from that man who, as you see, I don't know if you guys were able to see it. I'll put it up in the article. There he goes. He doesn't look like a man that's rich. $600 a month?
So Tommy is only concerned about two things. Darren Johnson being raped in prison, which I think that people joking about men being raped is just as bad as when we joke about women being raped. It's not funny. Rape is never funny. And the other thing that Tommy was concerned about was how much money this was going to cost Darren Johnson. He almost seemed to justify Darren Johnson's murder of the mother. On top of everything else, Tommy then launches into how many men that Nashante may have slept with before she found out that Darren Johnson was definitely the father of the child. I only have this to say, in the face of the popular belief that child support is seen as a punitive act taken out on fathers, while being a single parent raising children on one income is seen as an easy breeze. We need to understand that this belief in nature is patriarchal. As men, we see making children as an option for us to be fathers or not, and the children themselves as nothing more than an inconvenient byproduct of sex. I recently heard a rant on YouTube by an idiot who likes to prop himself up as the moral center by pointing out the fucked up lives of the other low-born males that he likes to fuck around with on YouTube. He likes to recount the fact that a lot of them have been forced by the courts and the state to support their children money-wise, and or forced to simply stay in the same households as their children. Not once did this douchebag himself point out that these men were supposed to do what they are supposed to do as men who have fathered children. But instead, he put it in the context that these men are fathers as a form of shame, and to support their children was a form of punishment. And that's the thing. Everybody likes to look at child support as if it's punishment. And in some cases, I've even seen women make the statement that they didn't want to put child support, quote unquote, on the fathers of their children, most likely in fear of pushing the father completely away out of the lives of their children. Having class consciousness, I know that the family courts can often lack that itself. They think that everyone who stands at the bench are the same as the white men with an income mean over 100,000 annual, who typically trade in wives like they do cars. And this is the case for them because they feel like they can afford it, even though they will still complain about having to pay child support. The problem is, this is not the case for working class or unemployed men of all races, and even worse, for working class men of color. If you are sued for child support, better yet, you man up and go to the judge without having a damn summons put on you, your state child support guidelines should be able to take into account your income and expenses. Sometimes the judges can be outright punitive and prey on some men's ignorance or their laziness or state of denial of the child, and that is why some of you can wind up getting fucked up. There are pro bono family court lawyers. Use a phone and the internet and you can find out how to get help. In the meantime, a lot of men just might wind up paying more than they want to versus what they can truly afford, but that depends on how they dealt with the situation from jump. I will be doing a video in the near future on parenting inspired by Pure Butterfly Spirit and her interaction with a younger mother and YouTuber. I will be coming from my perspective as a radical left parent and father, and that will include the issue of divorce and child support alternatives. If you all really want that episode, please feel free to nag me if it seems that I've forgotten to do that episode. The link to the child support guideline models by state is provided in the low bar as well. In the meantime, please watch New Possibilities' video as he addresses men's accountability as fathers. In conclusion, we could talk all day about Nashante making the mistake of having unprotected sex with a man who obviously was not ready to be a human being and be responsible for fathering children. We can also talk about how Nashante made the mistake of having sex with a man who was insane. And we could also ask, why did she choose not to get an abortion, since abortion is what can save a grown woman's life from having her biology be her destiny, which is a main controlling factor of a woman's life by society. But when you commit premeditated murder, nobody sweet-talked you or ran game on you to get you to do that. Mr. Johnson sought to kill his child and her mother, and he didn't even have the common decency to kill himself afterwards. And why? Because he didn't think the life he helped create was worth $600 a month. I wonder if he thought about that $600 when he got with Ms. Davis in the first place. This is the Garage Autonomist.